Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over what to buy and what to avoid this week in GTA Online. Before we get into the video, drop a like if you enjoy. If not, dislike of course. Consider subscribing to my channel if you're new. And let's go ahead and get started with the vehicle sitting right here behind me. This is of course the Akula attack helicopter, and it is on discount this week, which is pretty awesome. The Akula is one of the best helicopters in the entire game, dare I say the best helicopter in the entire game. Notable features of it, it can seat 4 players. It also has a stealth mode capability where you can just deactivate it or activate it when you like, similar to the F-160 Raju. This thing was honestly the predecessor to the Raju, and that's kind of where they got the idea for the stealth mode for it from. The Akula also is equipable with a 4 missile barrage or with homing missiles that are fully spammable as well. You can also upgrade the co-pilot's machine gun to a dual minigun turret as well, which is pretty sweet. Overall, an awesome helicopter, one of the fastest helis in the game. And of course, it is upgradable in the hangar with like handling upgrades, armor upgrades, speed upgrades, and everything like that. So very, very capable, very versatile helicopter. And it also has a bomb bay on it as well, so you can drop bombs out of the helicopter. So overall, just an awesome helicopter in general, and I would say that I do recommend picking this thing up this week. Now, we will talk about it a little bit later when we go over to Warstock and have a look at some of the other discounts. But for right now, we got to talk about bonus money this week in GTA Online, and continuing with last week's theme, which is of course heist themed weeks here for the remaining update weeks in November and leading up to December 4th. We have a continuation of our heist challenge that Rockstar has given us for the remainder of November until December 4th to make $20 trillion in GTA Online using only heists. And this week we have double money and double RP on the Doomsday heist, and specifically the Act 3 finale. So that's double money and double RP, and for completing it you will receive an extra $100,000 as a bonus, as well as the Clifford hoodie, and of course Clifford is featured in the Doomsday heist. So there you have it. So that's a pretty good bonus money activity this week, I guess, if you have another friend to play with. Now, if you have to do this with randoms, you're probably better just doing KO Perico, to be completely honest, but it's better than nothing, I do suppose. In addition to this, we also have double money and double RP on the Bunker series in the adversary modes, as well as all the Diamond series in the adversary modes. We also have double money and double RP on Hunting Pack as well, which is pretty cool. The missile base games are also double money and double RP for the remainder of the week as well. And as an extra bonus for the week, we do have double money on Taxi Work. So Taxi Work is going to be paying double money, which means it's honestly going to be paying a lot because Rockstar gave it a 2.5 times buff a few months ago with the release of the last DLC, and then being on double money, I think you're going to make like, I don't know, like maybe like 5 to 10 grand a fare right now. So and obviously as you do more and more fares up to 10, you're going to get more and more money. So this is actually going to be a pretty good way to earn money this week, especially if you're like a lower level in GTA and you don't really have any businesses and things like that. This is actually going to be a pretty decent way to earn some money. So consider doing that if you are a little bit newer to GTA Online. And for discounts, starting off with the property discount of the week, we have facilities discounted, and they are 40% off, including the upgrades and modifications within them. So if you need a facility, if you don't have one, now is certainly a pretty good time to pick one up. Now, in all honesty, guys, I don't really know which of the facility locations is the best. I seem to recall people saying that the Land Act Reservoir is the best, but then I've also heard that like the Grand Sonora and Route 68 facilities are good. I don't know about the wind farm. If you guys know which facility is the best, let us know in the comment section down below. I do believe for certain acts there is one that is far better than the others, and I think it's for like repeating an act over and over again. I think the Bogdan problem, if I'm not mistaken, and I think it's one of the ones out in Sandy Shores, you know, the Sandy Shores area here, but I honestly cannot speak to which one it is. So if you really want to know before you purchase a facility and you're planning to do the heists, go to the comment section down below. However, if you don't really care where your facility is, if you're not really planning to do the Doomsday heists very much and you just want a good location, the Land Act Reservoir is the closest to the city by far. However, I do think that the Route 68 facility and the Grand Sonora Desert facilities, as well as the wind farm, honestly, are pretty decent locations. And honestly, even the Lago Zancudo facility is pretty decent too. So I would definitely pick one that's a little bit closer to the city, sort of in this area here where you can see my cursor going across. Any of these four, I think, are pretty decent. But yeah, like I said, I'm sure people will comment down below and let us know which facility is the best for doing the Doomsday Heist, whether it's the Bogdan problem or whatever. So please let us know in the comment section down below. We would all appreciate that for sure. Now, when it comes to actually upgrading your facility as well, facility style does not really matter. Facility graphics do not matter. The orbital cannon is a personal choice. I don't personally have one because I don't like wasting my money. So the orbital cannon, for the vast majority of you, I would say don't go for it. It sounds great in theory, but then when you find out that it's like $700,000 to $900,000 a shot, it kind of becomes a lot worse. So yeah, I don't recommend getting the orbital cannon. I think it's a complete waste of money and time. The security room is kind of okay. Through here you can get a bunch of ammo and stuff for free, and you can also access the strike teams, which are pretty cool. You can send those after random players in the lobby, kind of like calling Merryweather, but it's it's pretty cheap. I think it's like $2,000 or something like that to call a strike team, and they'll just send people out to kill somebody until they kill them, I'm pretty sure, which is pretty cool. It also comes with a gun locker and things like that. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I don't really think it's worth it. The lounge is also not worth it at all. I would definitely not get a lounge in this place. The sleeping quarters is kind of cool if you do want to be able to spawn at your facility, but other than that, it's not really that useful. Starting off with our next discount here, we have the Overflawed Autarch discounted this week by 40% off, which is a pretty good discount. This thing is within like the top 20, maybe 25 fastest supercars in GTA Online. It also has a decent amount of customization, and for just under $1.2 million, I feel like it is a pretty good purchase generally. Now, if you have faster supercars and stuff like that and you're concerned about performance, I would not necessarily recommend the Autarch. I don't think it's that notable of a car, especially with some of the other discounts that we have going on this week. And I will also just say that Black Friday is coming at the end of the month, and then we do have a new DLC coming on December 10th officially. So they're trying to get you to separate yourself from all your money right now. I will just let you guys know that. So I would definitely recommend not buying everything that's on sale this week. There are some pretty good discounts, and there's going to be even more coming towards Black Friday and things like that, but try to keep some of your money because you are going to need some for that new DLC. But overall, the Overflawed Autarch, you could take it or leave it. It is a good car at the end of the day, so if it seems worth it to you, then probably purchase one. We also have the Fister Neon discounted this week by 40% off as well. This car is decent. For 900 grand, it's kind of one that you can't really go wrong with, but at the same time, it is an electric car, so it does have a pretty weak top speed and pretty bad handling. Doesn't have much in the way of customization either. I'd say if you're in the market for like a Taycan Turbo sort of looking, you know, Porsche in GTA, this is a cool one for sure. For 900 grand, I mean, it's a lot better than 1.5 mil. But overall, I don't necessarily think it's super worth the money. It is kind of a cool car though, so do with that information what you will. And on Warstock Cash and Carry, we have a hell of a lot of discounts on here. We're going to start off with the Thruster. Overall, the Thruster is just not that awesome, to be honest. You would also need to own a facility in order to purchase it, and the same goes for the TM02 Conjali here as well, I will just say. But the Thruster, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's like a jetpack, but I don't know, it doesn't really work that well. It's not that fast. It does have missiles on it, but they're not that awesome. Overall, I would just say to probably not buy the Thruster. I really don't think it's worth it, in my honest opinion. With that being said though, if you disagree and you want to get one, of course, feel free. However, the TM02 Conjali is actually quite a good vehicle, and while it's discounted by 30% off this week, I do think that it is probably worth picking up for a lot of you guys. If you're going to buy like a couple of the things that are discounted this week, I would say to make it the Conjali and the Akula. Everything else is kind of take it or leave it, but these are actually pretty good discounts. However, there is always the possibility that these go even more discounted on Black Friday. I would kind of find it unlikely that they would do that, but it is a possibility at the end of the day. So if you can live with it, to not buy these right now and potentially get them at an even better discount on Black Friday, it may be worth it for you. But I don't know. I mean, 2.7 mil, just under 2.7 mil for the Conjali with no trade price, and just over 2 mil for it with the trade price unlocked. I mean, pretty good price. The Conjali is a pretty awesome vehicle in GTA. Not very good against aircraft, but against ground targets it is very, very good. It can take about 8 RPGs or 8 homing missiles, and you can equip it with a railgun turret on it, which will extend the range and give you the ability to charge up your shot for even further range, which is pretty cool. It can seat 4 players. You can put grenade launchers on the turret here. The secondary person in the vehicle gets access to the machine gun sitting on top of it here, so it's a pretty cool vehicle. It's very well armed and pretty well armored. I would say this is a good one to purchase this week. I would say to buy this. Here we have the Akula yet again, going for 2,362,500 if you have the trade price. Without the trade price, I'm thinking it's going to be pretty close to $3 million. And either of those prices, buy the Akula, please, for the love of God. This is an awesome helicopter. You cannot go wrong with it. Please, just buy it, honestly. Next up, we got the Volatile. The Volatile is super overpriced and not really that awesome. It's cool to fly around for about 5 minutes until you realize how slow it is and just not maneuverable or anything. It's a lot of money, man. I don't know, 2.6 mil for this thing, or just under 2 million if you got the trade price. I really don't think it's worth it. I would not purchase a Volatile this week. I don't really think this plane is worth purchasing at the best of times, and even with a 30% discount, I just don't think it's worth it, honestly. Next up, we have the Chernobog. The Chernobog is an interesting one. You will need to own a facility in order to purchase it in the first place. It has had its price reduced down to 1.5 mil regularly and just over $1,100,000. And obviously this week it's under a mil, and it's just over a mil if you don't know the trade price. And for either of these prices, this thing is pretty cool. It has the longest lock-on range out of any vehicle in GTA Online. Out of any lock-on missile in the game, this thing will beat it by quite an amount, quite a good amount. The Chernobog, however, does not have any armor, so if they do manage to not get hit by your missile, they will take you out if they're in a jet or like an oppressor or anything like that. The missile's tracking is pretty decent on the Chernobog, but it's not necessarily good enough to save your life every single time. It is also soloable, but it is much better if you do have another player with you as well. So with that being said, I mean, the price is pretty reasonable for it. This is one you can kind of take it or leave it, but just understand that it's not going to save your ass every time, and it's kind of not very convenient to go and get it all the time as well. I would say you're probably not going to use it nearly as much as you think that you would. So for that reason, I would say to avoid it. But if it is interesting to you, if you've been looking for one for a while, it is probably a pretty good time to purchase one right now. Moving on to Southern San Andreas Super Autos, here we have the Benefactor Vorschlag Hammer, and it is going for 30% off, which is not a bad price. This thing also has the drift tuning modification as well as some pretty decent customization overall. If you're looking for a drift car or a drift tunable car in GTA, I think this is currently the cheapest one you can get for the remainder of the week. I don't necessarily think it's like an awesome car generally, but with the drift tuning, I do think that it is by far the most consistent drift car in GTA Online. So for that reason, I would recommend it if you're looking for a drift car. However, for the vast majority of people and people that aren't going to be drifting, it's really not that awesome. Like, it's a cool car if you got tons and tons of money, but if you're looking for something and you're kind of on a lower budget, I would say the Vorschlag Hammer is probably one of the last things you should be buying this week, in all honesty. Pretty cool car, like I said, but just not really worth it unless you want to drift. Alright, so that's it for what we can look at on the websites. Now it's time to go to the casino and the car meet and then all the dealerships, and we'll talk about what they have available at all of those places. Within the casino, we have the Dinka Kanjo SJ, a pretty customizable car. Not a very awesome one to drive by any means, but a fun fact about it is that it was a cut car from the Tuners DLC, and the reason that I know this is because it is stanceable. Like you can stance most cars from the Tuners DLC through the Manage Vehicles tab, you can also do that with the Dinka Kanjo SJ, as well as the Dinka Postlude, which we had last week. So that's pretty interesting. Overall, not the best car ever, but try to win it if you want it, I guess. Within the LS car meet, we have the Ocelot Penetrator available to be won this week, and in order to win it, you're going to have to place top 5 for 3 days in a row, which is a pretty easy challenge. If you have somebody you can play GTA with, you guys can just do a race together for 3 days in a row and you will get the Penetrator. It's not the best car ever by any means, but it's kind of okay. It has some pretty cool customization, albeit it is pretty limited, but it's based off the Jaguar XJ220. It's a decent car. I would definitely say to try to win it. Within the car meet, these are the vehicles that are available, and I swear we've seen these two of these cars at least quite a bit in the last little while here. I feel like Rockstar's been quite lazy with the update weeks, but as I think I've said last month at least, the Invitero Coquette is available within the car meet. It goes for $138,000 if I do believe. Yes, I am correct. Okay. We also have the Western Cliffhanger in the middle here. It is going for $225,000. That seems like a lot, honestly. And of course, we do also have the Dinka Jester here, and it goes for $240,000. Out of the vehicles here, the Dinka Jester is definitely the best of them performance-wise. However, the Invitero Coquette is also a really awesome car. Overall, out of the three, I would definitely pick up the Jester and the Coquette. Both of them have pretty decent customization, good handling, and just generally pretty good performance, especially for being OG vehicles. These came out like a long time ago. The Coquette's been out ever since the game released, and the Jester was added shortly after with the High Life DLC. Both are awesome. I would say to pick both of them up. The Cliffhanger is another story. I don't necessarily know if I think it's super worth picking up, but then again, I'm not really a motorcycle guy, so I'll let that decision be up to you guys. Within Simeon's dealership, we have all removed vehicles, which is pretty interesting. Starting things off, we have the Albany Hermes here, and it is going for $554,000. Not a bad price. This thing's pretty cool. The suspension lifts when you start driving and lowers when you stop, which is pretty cool. And it's got some decent customization. You can make it look like Doc Hudson from Cars, which is kind of neat as well. So overall, pretty cool vehicle for 554 grand. I would say to buy it probably. I don't see why not, honestly. We also have the Benefactor Streiter here. This thing goes for an even 500,000 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, and not much in the way of customization for it, unfortunately. It is a pretty cool vehicle. It's an off-road station wagon Mercedes, which is kind of neat. It's very unique for sure. Other than that though, not really that awesome of a vehicle, unfortunately. For 500k, it's kind of like take it or leave it. If you're interested in it, it is kind of cool. Of course, both of these are removed vehicles, so if that means anything to you, that is there as well. We also have the Annis Silvestra in here, and it is discounted by 30% off, meaning that it's going to be going for $712,000 in GTA this week. I feel like for that price, you're honestly kind of getting scammed, and that's coming from a person who actually likes the Silvestra. That means that at full price, this thing's like $1 million, which is kind of insane to think about. You're definitely not getting 700 grand or $1 million worth of performance out of this vehicle. The customization is also not that awesome for a $700,000 or $1 million car. I think the Silvestra is a bit overpriced this week, and I would definitely say to not pick it up. I just don't think it's really worth it, honestly, unless you really just want the car to have the car. We also have the Ubermacht SC1 in here as well. I do believe this is the only Ubermacht supercar in GTA, and it goes for $1,112,000. Or sorry, $1,122,000, which is kind of a lot for what you're getting. Not much in the way of customization for this car. It's not that awesome to drive. The handling and performance generally just isn't that great. I would say to probably avoid the SC1 this week, although it is a removed vehicle. So again, if that means anything to you, the Silvestra is too, so keep that in mind for sure. And of course, we also have the Lampadati Viserys here as well, and it is also discounted actually this week, and it's discounted by 30% off. For 30% off, I mean 600 grand, you can't really go wrong with it. You can also put front mounted machine guns, crazy wide body kits, and honestly this thing's got quite a bit of customization. The only thing to watch out for is it does have engine resistance, and it is within the sports classic category, so it's not going to be the greatest car ever, but it's pretty cool. For 600k, I'd say, yeah, you kind of can't go wrong with it. Within luxury autos, we're back to our old ways. We got some of the newest cars in the entire game out in here. The Invitero Coquette D1 right here. And we also, of course, have the Grotti Turismo Omaggio, both of which are available on the websites. So yeah, I would not recommend to buy them here. Alright, so within the chop shop, we got the Canis Camacho back for the third time in like 6 months, I think it is. Sorry, no, this is the fourth time in 6 months, third time within 2 months. Insane. I don't know why they keep doing this. It's a cool car, but I don't know. Anyways, in order to get it, you're going to need to complete the Gangbanger robbery. In order to get the Vapid Dominator GT, you will need to complete the McTony robbery, and for the Benefactor LM87, you will need to complete the Podium robbery. Alright, and of course, last but not least, we got to go over the time trials for the week. The RC Bandito time trial for today is Cypress Flats. Junk Energy for today is Mirror Park. Your regular time trial is Tongva Valley, and your HSW time trial is Terminal to Chiliad Mountain State Wilderness. So anyway guys, there you have it. That's been it for what to buy and what to avoid this week in GTA Online. Again, I will just say at the end of the video here to make sure to save some money for the new DLC that's going to be coming out on December 10th, as well as save some money for Black Friday, which is coming at the end of the month. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed the video, a like is of course appreciated. If not, dislike. Do consider subscribing to my channel if you guys are new or you like this style of content. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care. Peace.